Elon Musk and Sam Altman recently did a couple of interviews where they said some things that gave me pause.
Whether one likes it or not, we're building super intelligent AIs, hyper intelligent, like more intelligent than we can comprehend.
I think in the world that we live in today, it's important to sometimes pause and just allow the information that we're hearing constantly to really penetrate us and to actually think about it. Because, well, as you'll see in a moment when I play these clips, these guys are saying things, and both of them are creating some of the most advanced, or maybe the most advanced AI systems that we have available. And they're both brilliantly smart, whether you like them or not. A lot smarter than me. And so when they say things like they're going to say in these next couple of clips I'm going to play for you, I just think it's important to let it sink in a little bit. Let me just play this first clip from Elon Musk and then the one from Sam Altman. Let's chat this through a little bit, because it's a little intense.
The reality of what's happening, whether one likes it or not, is that we're building super intelligent AIs, hyper intelligent, like intelligent, more intelligent than we can comprehend.
Okay, so I just want to pause that and just think through what he just said and actually process it. If you're anything like me, you hear information and sound bites and news daily that had we heard that news 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it would have been front page headline news and people would have been talking about it for weeks or months. It would have been the only thing people would have been talking about. But today we get such a barrage of catastrophes and sound bites and clips like this about technology that is not only coming, but here already, that it just doesn't faze us most of the time. We don't let it sink in. And I think it's an important time right now to pause and let it sink in what these people are saying. So he said, Elon Musk said, we're building super intelligence that's more intelligent or going to be more intelligent than we can even comprehend right now. And this is from somebody who's spending billions of dollars on AI and creating it. And I just think it's easy because we've heard people say things like this. It's easy to just kind of disregard it and kind of let it in one ear and out the other and like, yeah, okay, well, that's the world we live in. But if you stop and really think about what he's saying, it, like I said, at least gives you pause. It's like, Anyways, let me play this clip from Sam Altman because he said something kind of similar. And Sam Altman, like I would say Elon Musk is a lot more open and transparent, has been more open and transparent about where AI can take us. Sam Altman, especially lately, has been a lot more kind of hush-hush about what the potential downfalls of AI can be and has been really talking up the positives of AI. But listen to this clip.
People will ask an agent to do something for them that would have taken them a month, and they'll finish in an hour. It'll be great. And then they'll have like 10 of those at the same time.
You'll ask an AI agent to do something that would have taken you a month, and it'll do it in an hour, and then you'll have 1,000 of those. So another way to look at that is that, let's say you ask an AI agent to, build you a website, like a really good website, a website that would take a professional a month to build out. This is a pretty good website. And it can do it in an hour, but it can do 1,000 of those websites. Like I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around what that even means. But then that's just the beginning. Then he says more things that make my brain hurt.
And then they'll have like 1,000 of those at the same time. And by 2030 or whatever, we'll look back and be like, yeah, this is just like what a human is supposed to be capable of.
The way he casually says, by 2030 or whatever, somewhere, in a mere 5 years or so, we'll look at this and just think, oh, yeah, it's just what a human's supposed to do. That's just what a human is supposed to be capable of. The way he phrased that, though, is by 2030, we'll be so accustomed to AI agents doing these things for us, creating 1,000 versions of something in an hour that would have taken a human a month to do. We'll be so accustomed to that, we'll just be like, yeah, that's just what humans can do now. Which means, to me, in my mind, that we'll have these capabilities start to roll out far sooner than 2030. It's just that by 2030, we'll be so accustomed to it that we'll be like, yeah, this is standard for humans now. Humans now have the technology to do 1,000 times more in 1 hour than a comparable human, a few years ago would have taken a month to do. One of these, we can create 1,000 of these in an hour, and a few years ago would have taken a month to create one of these. And it's just like, no big deal. Like if you stop and think about what he's actually saying for a moment, because you're probably like me, you look at these video clips on X or whatever platform you use, and you read them and you watch them and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Flip, back to the next one. And you never take the time to really let that sink in and think about where we're at and where we're going to be in a mere flash of lightning, just here, which makes me think, he probably knows more than we do. He probably knows what technology they have behind the curtain and just haven't unveiled it to society. Part of that could, this is where you get into the hypotheticals, but could that be because they don't know, like, how is society going to react to this? How do we shouldn't just unleash this whole thing on society, just the same way that they've delayed, and you have to give them, I suppose, credit for this, but they've delayed their advanced voice mode because, at least, who knows what the real reasons are, but one of the reasons given is that the world's never seen anything like this, and we don't know how the world's going to react, and so we want to make sure it's just as safe as possible. I don't know if that's true, but I think potentially the same thing with Sora. OpenAI is the only company who has delayed the release of Sora, and we've seen what Sora was capable of a long time ago. I don't know when that was, earlier this year. And there's been a lot of other text to video platforms that have been released that are incredible, but they've released them so quick. And I feel like OpenAI has kind of been like, let's not just jump into this. So if that's true, if there is some level of apprehension by OpenAI to release some of the tools and technology that they have because they want to make sure it's not going to, destroy the world or change the world so rapidly and so fast that it has really destructive repercussions. If that's true, then you wonder when he's talking about this technology that's going to be here by 2030. That's the thing. He isn't saying that it's going to be here by 2030. He's saying it's going to be here before 2030. Just by 2030, it's going to be so normal to us that this is what we can come to expect from these AI tools that it's just no big deal. And I feel like Sam Altman isn't one to, Elon Musk is one who will throw out grandiose ideas about when, technology and capabilities will become available and then they're not available by then. I feel like Sam Altman's been pretty cautious in the way he describes what's coming, and even underwhelming audiences with, like new advancements and tools and releases. He said things, when like 4.0 came out, he was like, don't get your hopes up too high. This isn't going to be that drastic of a change. But when he says things like that, I'm just like, dang, what are we walking into? That's the question. I guess the takeaway for me on all this, and I have a couple more clips to play that talk about what do we do? Like, what are we supposed to do to prepare for this? I feel like we're almost in this place where we're in the quicksand. And none of us are really concerned about the quicksand because it's only around our feet or our ankles or maybe our knees. But we're like, eventually this thing could be pretty dangerous, this quicksand. Once it gets over our mouths and our nose, we got to watch out for that. And we're not there yet, though. This technology, it's not that good. It's not that smart. There's really nothing to worry about. It's not going to be smarter than humans. It's not going to be smarter than me. So no worries. And we just continue to sink, and we have experts around this pit of quicksand telling us, hey, in the next several hours, this thing may consume you completely. This is what you have to watch out for. And we're like, oh, yeah, really? Okay, yeah, we got to watch out for that. I feel like that's where we're at. Like, AI is already around us and has impacted us in ways that I think are a lot greater than we realize. I think that we're further into the quicksand than most people want to admit or understand. And a lot of people don't even know that they're in quicksand. They're just going about their life, staring at their phone, and they just continue to sink. And they may not know that they're in quicksand at all until it covers their entire head. So I think we're at a moment now where, maybe we're not in so deep that we can at least try to prepare for the inevitable, that this thing's going to cover our head, and we don't know what's at the bottom of this pit. Maybe we'll fall through, maybe we'll be okay. I don't know what's going to happen, but this thing's going to cover my head eventually. And I think we're probably further into this pit than just our ankles or our knees. I think we're probably somewhere about here, real close to having it consume us entirely. And again, may not mean that we die. Maybe once it consumes us, we continue to fall through and we fall out of the pit. And then we enter this realm of euphoria and a utopia that we can't believe. But the point is, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen when the quicksand covers us. So I think it's important to take a moment, pause, and listen to what these guys are saying who are building the quicksand pit around us, and just be like, oh, maybe we're further into this than we think. Maybe we need to prepare for what's inevitable very soon. Might happen a lot sooner than we think, we've been dropping, at a fairly regular pace, but it could be that it just drops quick because we've had that happen with the AI technological innovations where, it seems like, oh, we're kind of slowing down. We're fine. We're not going to drop into this pit any further. And then it's like, and we're like, oh, yeah, I guess maybe we will. So what do? Both of these guys give some ideas on what we should do to prepare. Let's go back to Elon Musk and see what he says we should do to prepare for the quicksand covering our heads, maybe sooner than we think.
I would liken this to, like, let's say you have a child that is a super genius child, that it's going to be much smarter than you. Then, well, what can you do? You can instill good values in how you raise that child. So even though it's going to be far smarter than you, you can make sure it's got good values, philanthropic values, good morals, honest, productive, that kind of thing. Controlling, at the end of the day, I don't think we'll be able to control it. So I think the best we can do is make sure it grows up well.
So in a nutshell, what Elon Musk tells us to do is to teach AI to be the best version of a human. If you have a child, you're trying to raise that child with morals and values that are meaningful to you. You're trying to create the best human that you can. The best way you can do that is to become better yourself, because they're going to mimic you, your behaviors, the way you speak to people, both in private and public, your outlook, your motivations, your habits. All of those things are going to do more to create your son or daughter and send them down a particular trajectory than anything else. So if you want to have a really good kid, become a better person. What Elon Musk is saying is the same is true for this digital human that is being created. It's being created based on human output, understanding. It's taking all of what humans have created and have made available on the internet, unfortunately, and that's what it's using to understand our world. And so if it's learning more and more that, oh, humans hate each other and humans are angry and bitter and humans want to hurt each other, and that's what I'm seeing online all the time, potentially that's the kind of digital human we're creating. Anyway, so if you want a good one, be better. But Sam Altman has some advice for the future and what we should do to prepare for the inevitable covering of our face in this pit of sand. Let's see what he has to say.
Clearest, most obvious two things to say. Number one, you've got to learn to use the tools. You want to get really comfortable with these new tools because we don't know exactly what the jobs of the future are going to look like. I'm confident that there will be lots of jobs, and also that many of them will look somewhat different than the jobs of today, but we never seem to run out of stuff to do.
I mean, maybe he's looking at the future with rose-colored glasses a little bit. Like, there's going to be jobs. What are you talking about? AI is not going to replace jobs. What I do think he says that's very true, though, is learn these tools. Why? I don't know. Because that takes me down the rabbit hole of, like, what's the point? Because what these tools are doing is requiring less and less human input. That's what we've seen. The progression of AI has been, we need less and less humans. Because remember, there was a time not long ago at all, like when AI first came out, like a year and a half ago, publicly, there was this whole talk about prompt engineers. Like that's the future, man. Become a prompt engineer. And I remember looking at prompt engineer and I was just like, that's so stupid. What are you talking about? Prompt engineering, that's going to be the job of the future. And then it was like, oh, the more natural you speak with it, the better the output actually. So you don't need to learn any tricks. And now we're at a place where you just talk to it. It's even more natural. Just talk to it like a human and you get incredible output. And we're moving to a place where it just requires less and less knowledge from the human, less and less from us. It's able to do more and more. Its capabilities are getting further and further, and there's less and less that you need to do, less and less that you need to learn. So I look at that and I'm like, what's the point of learning all this? Because it's just it's not going to need me to understand it. It's just going to be able to do it. But who knows how long we are from that point. So in the meantime, I do agree, like learning as much as you can about this is all we can do, I suppose. But he continues.
I think we can say some deeply true statements about what humans seem to care about, and that figuring out how to create those things, figuring out how to build the experiences, products and services that people of the future are going to want, figure out how to be useful to people, that seems like a really valuable thing more than any specific set of knowledge.
I think you can look at that in two ways. One is it's true to understand what do people value the most and how can you bring that value to people. But that's exactly what Sam Altman is doing with AI. He's figuring out what do people want Let's build an AI that does that for them and can up the productivity 1,000 times. So say you figure out like, you know what people really like is humans, and I'm going to create this human-based whatever. It's going to take me a month to create this, but then AI comes along and creates that thing in an hour, but 1,000 of them. I mean, okay. The thing is, we're not, like people keep coming back to this idea of like, no, but humans will want to connect with humans. And I agree. The problem is we won't know the difference. It's already at the point where it's very difficult to know the difference whether what we're hearing a person say, was it created by AI? Probably. And more so, what you even hear a real human say is prompted and designed by AI. So there's that. But then we're at the precipice. That's not how you say that word. Precipice is how you say it. At the precipice of this point where you can't even tell if the person that you're watching speaking words is AI or human. So sure, people will want to hear from humans, but the only way we'll know and be able to potentially verify whether this is actually created by a human is by an AI verifying like, no, that is a human. So it's like, because we won't be able to know by listening or watching. We can't trust our eyes or ears anymore. Anyways, last thing I want to leave you with is a clip from Mo Gaudat. He, if you don't know, I'm a pretty big fan of everything he's had to say. He started building the pit that we're in a while ago, and then he realized, man, this pit, I don't know if this is a good thing to put a bunch of people in this pit. So he jumped out of the pit and has been waving a flag saying like, hey, don't get into that pit, but we're already in it. So anyways, this is what he has to say about AI. I think it's a good way to close out this video. Probably won't make you feel any better, but it's a good clip.
When people ask me about the threat of AI and what can we do about it, I answer with one word. Okay? Most of the geeks like me will say either solve the control problem, so write code to make the AI submit to us, or solve the safety problem, which is write code so when AI does something wrong, we can be safe. Right? I say it's an ethics problem. It is not about controlling AI or even teaching AI to cure cancer. This is using AI for good. It's about teaching AI not to lie. It's about teaching AI not to cheat. It's about teaching AI not to steal. It's about teaching AI not to abuse humans, right? And the only way you can do that is to be a good parent. The only way those machines can learn ethics is by observing us humans using them in an ethical way. Most people will tell me, oh, but so many humans are unethical. I don't believe that to be true. I believe that most humans will disapprove of a school shooting. Okay? Most humans will not approve of a child being killed. The reason why so many people are debating killing children today is simply because they're not informed. They're informed at a different level of the conversation. But if you strip it down to would you approve of killing an innocent child, everyone will say no, on every side of every conflict. And I think this is the true test of humanity, that era that we're in today. And you are responsible leaders that can actually implement that. The true test of humanity is if I told you we're going into an age of total abundance, okay? And all that I ask you for is use that abundance ethically. Would you be able to do it? You'll still make a lot of money. You'll still be incredibly successful. You'll still grow your business. You'll still be more profitable. But you're just going to do it in a way that basically is the way you want your daughter to be treated, okay? And I think if we can manage to get this right, we would end up in the utopia I described to you.
Ooh, that's pretty good. Last thing I'll say. Best thing you can do right now is become better. Become a better father, husband, mother, wife, human, whatever you are. Just become better yourself in every way, public and private. All right, that's it. Hey, by the way, I'm trying to grow this channel. If you would, listen, I know you're going like, this video's over, get to the next one. Just this video is about pause, right? Take a moment. I would appreciate you subscribing to the channel. It won't change your feed. It won't change anything about your YouTube experience unless you click that notification bell. And then every time I post a video, you'll see it, which I would love. Because anyways, but if you would subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. Those things tell YouTube that you like it. You know that. You're not, what am I talking about? You know how this works. You know how this game is played. So anyways, help me win the game, if you will. Thanks for watching.